div class equal container. This div element acts as a container for the child elements. It's given a class of container which can be used to apply styles and manage layout properties via CSS. Child div elements. Each of the child div elements with the class item represents an individual item within the container. They each contain a number 1 through 5 which can be used for styling purpose. Alright, let's start with the basic. Flexbox or flexible box layout is a CSS layout model that allows you to design responsive web pages with ease. It's perfect for aligning and distributing space among the items in a container, even when their size is unknown or dynamic. First, flex container. The first thing you need to know is the flex container. To create a flex container, you simply apply display flex to a parent element. This element now controls the layout of its children, which we call flex items. Number 2, flex direction. The flex direction property determines the direction of the flex items within the container. You can set it to row reverse, column, or column reverse. Row default. Items are placed in a row from left to right. Column items are placed in a column from top to bottom. Next, we have justify content, which helps align the items along the main axis. The direction defined by flex direction. You can use values like flex start, center, flex end, space between, and space around to control the spacing between items. Number 4, align items, which aligns the items along the cross axis perpendicular to the main axis. You can align them at the start, center, or end of the container using values like flex start, center, and flex end. Finally, we have flex wrap, which controls whether the items should wrap onto multiple lines by default. Flexbox tries to fit all items in one line, but with flex wrap, items will move to the next line if there is not enough space. Now that you have got the basics down, let's see how these properties work in action by building a simple layout using Flexbox. Width 100 pixels and height 100 pixels. These properties set the width and height of each flex item to 100 pixels. This makes each item a square of 100 multiple 100 pixels. Background color #3498 dB. This sets the background color of each flex item to a shade of blue. Color white. This changes the text color inside each flex item to white, which will contrast nicely with the blue background. Display flex. This turns each flex item into a flex container itself, allowing you to use Flexbox properties on the contents of each item, which is like text vertically in the center of the item. Align items center. This aligns the contents of each flex item. This centers the contents of each flex item horizontally. Margin 5 pixels. This adds a 5 pixel margin around each flex item, creating space between the items. In summary, the .item class styles each flex item with a specific dimension, color, and spacing, and it also centers the contents inside each item both horizontally and vertically. In this code, .item defines how each box or item inside our flex container will look and behave. Let's break it down. Display flex. This turns the dot container into a flex container. It allows its child elements, the flex items, to be arranged using Flexbox. Flex direction row. This arranges the flex item in a horizontal row. By default, the item will be laid out from the left to right. Align items center. This is vertically centers the flex items within the container. So if the items have different heights, they will all be aligned in the middle of the container. Border to pixel solid and a color dark gray. This adds a 2 pixel solid border around the container, which helps you see the boundaries of the container. Now that you understand the basics concept of Flexbox, let's put them into a practice by building some simple yet powerful layouts. We will go through 2 common examples, a responsive navigation bar and a card layout. Example number 1, responsive navigation bar. This is a typical use case where Flexbox really shines. Let's start by creating a responsive navigation bar using Flexbox. Here, Flexbox allows us to easily align the logo on the left and the navigation links on the right, making it responsive and clean. The justify content space between property ensures that there is a space between the logo and the links, while align item center keeps everything vertically centered. Example number 2, responsive card layout. Next, let's create a responsive card layout. This is perfect for showcasing products, service, or any other content you want to present in a grid-like fashion. In this example, the Flex wrap property allows the cards to wrap onto multiple lines, making the layout responsive. The Flex property is used to define how much space each card should take up, adjusting their size automatically based on the container's width. The gap property adds spacing between the cards. keeping the layout neat and organized. These practical examples show just how powerful and versatile Flexbox can be for creating responsive layouts. With just a few lines of code, you can achieve layouts that adapt to different screen sizes effortlessly. Now that we have covered the basics and some practical examples, let's dive into a few advanced Flexbox tips that can take your layouts to the next level. These techniques will help you create more complex and dynamic designs. Number 1. Flex, grow, shrink, and bases. First up, let's talk about the flex property, which is actually a shorthand for 3 properties: flex grow, flex shrink, and flex bases. Understanding these can give you finer control over how your flex items behave within the container. Flex grow, this controls how much a flex item should grow relative to the other items inside the container. For example, if one item has flex grow 2 and other has flex grow 1, the first item will take up twice as much space as the second. Flex shrink, this property determines how much a flex item should shrink if the container is too small to fit all items. A value of flex shrink 0 means that the item won't shrink at all, while a higher value means it will shrink more. Flex bases, this defines the initial size of a flex item before the remaining space is distributed according to flex grow and flex shrink. It acts like a starting point for the item's size. The order property allows you to change the visual order of your flex item without changing their order in the HTML code. This is especially useful for responsive design when you need to reorder items based on screen size. Here in this example, item number 2 will appear first, followed by item number 3, and then item number 1, regardless of their order in HTML structure. This flexibility is a powerful tool for creating adaptable layouts. Finally, the align self property, which allows you to override the align item's value for specific items, giving you more granular control over individual items' alignment along the cross axis. And in this example, item number 1 aligns to the start of the container, item number 2 aligns to the end, and item number 3 aligns to the center. This gives you precise control over how each item is positioned within the container. These advanced Flexbox tips open up a whole new world of possibilities for your web layouts. By mastering these properties, you can create complex, responsive designs that looks great on any device. That wraps up our deep dive into Flexbox. We have covered everything from the basics to advanced techniques that can truly elevate your web layouts. Flexbox is an incredibly powerful tool, and once you get comfortable with it, you will find that it simplifies even the most complex designs. Remember, practice is key. The more you experiment with Flexbox, the better you will understand how to create layouts that are both flexible and responsive, adapting seamlessly to any screen size. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. I've got plenty more web development tips and tutorials coming your way. And if you have any question or topic you would like me to cover in the future videos, drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.